Let's bring the Finance and Administration Committee meeting to order. Roll call.
Jen Reimer.
Here.
Chris Valente.
Here.
Jana will be absent. Dave Reeser.
Here.
And Tanya Grayling.
Here. Any public comment? No? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to the cash update.
Cash update. So we have in front of you, we have a chart that shows our cash and our investments, and we want to display this visually a little bit. So we gave you a year of data that shows down below with the chart. In the blue, that's the monies that we keep within Pliget, and the orange is that's the monies that we keep in our Tompkins bank account. Our Tompkins bank account essentially has a very, very, very minimal interest rate. Our Pliget investment accounts have between it says 5.5% there. That's not a correct number. It's like 3.8. But our main investments are there, and that's why we do this. So throughout the year, that's the pattern of cash that you should see in a cycle. So we should expect one big wave here in March, April, May, and then we should expect another one in June, July, August. So that's kind of what we're going to expect for this year. So when we look at what's normal for a given year, I'm going to take this wave and I'm going to look at the wave for 2026 and see if it matches 2025, and 2024 in the past. So that if we're there, that's where we should be. We should see another wave for this year. Overall, though, you will see that our numbers have gone down from roughly 10 million to $7-ish million, $6 million now from the end of 2023 at the beginning of the chart. So this is 2 years of data here. So you'll see that the overall cash picture has gone down. So we are trending in the wrong direction from that standpoint. And we'll talk about that further and more once we get into budget season. So in our total cash balances, in our cash accounts, we have 601,000 total within Pliget. That's split up between a myriad of different funds that we have. Those first three accounts that you're going to see, general working and HRA, those are housed within our general fund. The general fund money is specifically for the general fund. The working fund, this is our clearing account that we write all of our checks out of. So the flow of cash goes from the water, sewer, refuse, etc., over into the working, and the general fund transfers money into the working as well for those expenses allocated to those accounts. So that we have to house the working fund somewhere. So we put it within the general fund, and that's for checks that have not yet cleared. And we always keep, as a base level, our financial statements always keep $25,000 in the working account for a minimum, so that we know we do not go below that number. And we know at the end of each month, there is an amount that each fund owes to the working fund or vice versa. That dollar amount always reconciles to $25,000. The payroll account, that dollar amount always reconciles to $50,000. So you'll see that the payroll account there is $50,002. That's the interest on that one. And the HRA account, that's also housed within the general fund, and that's for our employee health reimbursement account as well. So those are the general cash accounts there. In our Pliget investments, we have 3 accounts within Pliget, each of which, this might be just going to get a tiny complicated, and I'm only going to explain this one at this one meeting so that we have the context. We have 3 accounts within Pliget. Each of those accounts has 2 types of funds. The first is prime, the other is class. Prime, we're only allowed to transfer 2 times per month, and this is the highest interest we can get. Class, we can transfer whenever we want, and that's great. So that's what we have. So realistically, we have 6 accounts within Pliget in addition, just so that you're all aware of that. Those 3 accounts, state highway aid, we legally have to have separate bank accounts for this. So that's what that highway is. We also refer to that one as liquid fuels. So if I ever use that term instead of state highway aid, forgive me. And there's also the debt. We call it the debt account. This is proceeds from the bank loan that came in several years ago. That's sitting in that account of $393,000. That pooled account, and I can break this out in further detail for us in future months, that $5 million in that account is attributed to the general fund, the working fund, or sorry, the general fund, the water fund, the sewer fund, and the refuse fund. Those 4 accounts all comprise that $5 million that's in the pooled account. So when we think of reserves, that's where our reserves are sitting in there. And we draw those reserves down as we pay our bills throughout the year. And Jan, you weren't here for the beginning of the meeting, but we have 2 years of data there at the bottom, and we should expect that same wave this year. So this is our cash and investment balances.
And were
We're
they
gonna update
in the
this.
pooled again?
What's that?
Or were the 3 in the pooled?
It's water, sewer, refuse, and general.
Oh, and general.
Yep. What we normally see with municipalities as well is we want to put together a draft just to give to the council of a fund balance and reserve policy, because we need to have, there are some general guidelines that are recommended for what we should have in reserves at any given point. And we can't look at it like, oh, Wyomissing Borough has $6,078,000 cash total. What should our reserves be? That's not how we have to think about government accounting. We have to look at it by fund. And so in our general fund, we have to have a fund balance policy. In our water and sewer funds, which are really the other 2, refuse, you don't generally have sometimes you do, but generally not in that fund because it's contracted for the most part. But we should have a reserve policy for water and sewer. Some municipalities like to have a reserve policy for refuse. That's at the council's discretion. My recommendation would be general fund balance policy, water and sewer reserve policy. The reason they're different is because water and sewer are enterprise funds and general fund is a governmental fund. And we just call that reserve fund balance. Over here, it's more run like a business and we call that reserve a reserve. So that's why we do that. So this is the report we prepared for you here. If you have recommendations, improvements, we're all ears. We would love feedback.
Scott, at the I understand what why the money's in the the different frigates.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's ultra safe, but at the Centers for Excellence in Local Government meeting, they did caution us that that's not FDIC protected.
Yeah, correct.
So what, again, you offset that by the fact that it's a very safe account, but what do most municipalities do there?
So in addition to investment risk pools like Pliget, there are others that are throughout the state. There's one called, it's PSDALAF. We call it PISLAF. There's acronyms are big in local government. So there's certain banks that offer more CD level type investments. Some will pool CDs. So normally the limit with CDs is we're only insured up to $250,000. But some banks will pool the CDs so that they'll trade CDs with another bank, and we'll be able to invest $1 million with them in $1 million increments, so that we get that coverage. So we can split it out. Some municipalities do, some don't. We have one municipality that is currently holding like 51 million in their Pliget account. Yeah.
What did you think about that, Jen?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, they were talking about it not being FDIC insured. And that concerned me, but it sounds like a lot of municipalities are doing this.
I could put together, what I'll do is I'll put together a little one sheet for all of you that we'll put together. Here's what I'll go around and ask every single one of our clients. Here's what we have. Here's where we put our money. Here's what other people do. And I'll call the folks at Pliget, I'll call the folks at PISLAF and just ask, hey, when people ask this question, what do we generally get? Okay?
Thank you.
I'll do that. I'll write that down. I think we can move on to the financials here. Yeah, right. Okay, so what we did for financials, one of the biggest changes from the previous reporting has been In that area, we started with a consolidated report, which showed all funds mashed together. And that's not the right way to report local government finances. So we have to look at it by fund, because each fund has to stand alone and has to be separate and distinct from each other. So in the general fund, I'm probably going to sound redundant because some of the things that I'll mention will probably be similar to the last meeting. In our general fund for our actuals for 2026, this is the big picture. We broke it out by tax revenues and other revenues. The most important are probably our tax revenues. That came in at about 2% overall in the year, which is normal for January. Our overall revenue is 3% on the year, also normal for January. So there's different categories that we broke this out. When you see mercantile tax and business privilege tax in two different line items, I need you to know that the business privilege tax section is specifically for the licenses. At the bottom there, the actual tax piece is up above. So that's why you see that we're 39% on our revenue budget, is because everyone gets their licenses at the beginning of the year. So I should expect when you get February's numbers in the next week or two, you're going to see a much higher percentage of budget for the business privilege tax piece, although we won't see the majority of the mercantile tax come in until April, May, June. So those other revenues down below are some of those, we don't say random, but it's a sort of a hodgepodge of various different monies that come in from different directions. That I will highlight that overhead transfers, we might get a question on. That budget account code has to do with what expenses, mostly administrative and some salary and wages, can be attributed to water, sewer, and refuse funds from the general fund. So the water fund, the refuse fund, and the sewer fund each make a transfer into the general fund every month for that $141,667 amount to cover certain administrative costs that occur within those funds. So our total revenue for January is $515,581. Yes.
I personally
Yeah.
find it helpful to compare year to year.
Yes.
I personally find it helpful to compare year-to-date 2026 to 2025. It's a little harder to do because the columns are so far apart, but it can be done.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that you don't see it find it particularly helpful.
So with expense, I don't. With revenue, I would. And the reason I wouldn't with expense is because each year is a different budget year.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you can move it from one.
With revenue, I could see that. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, because if we're tanking someplace
We want to know. Yep.
and comparing it to budget tells us.
Yeah, correct. The only consideration I will say, and we want to, by the way, this is a living document, and this is the start of where we want to begin and where we want to go to. At quarter end, I want to put together some more charts so that we can see patterns occurring that are deeper than the month, that we don't necessarily need to look at on a month-to-month basis. So some things, like the only caution I would have of looking at a month to a month is that we're on the cash basis, so that if we get a transaction that comes in that doesn't come in another year, we're going to have a huge fluctuation. So that's the only thing the only caveat I'll throw out there. What's that? Yeah. So this is our expenses, and we broke this down by different sections where the DCD has a standardized chart of accounts, and we broke this out, by certain areas. They're into mostly general government, public safety, and public works. General government, this is all of our either administrative costs or our shared costs among all departments. And our public safety, that's our police and our fire. And obviously our public works is the public works. In the key number that I want people to be paying attention to when it comes to expenses, for every month, we should be expending on average 8% of our budget. So if we scroll down to the total, I think it's on the next page maybe. Yep. Down here, total expenditures in our general fund, percentage of budget, that number there at the bottom, 8%. So I would think we are within the range of where we should be for January. Certain budget account codes may look different. And at certain times of the year, obviously, we're not doing a ton of paving projects right now. Those will be in the summertime, and those months may be higher. And then around November, we expect to, end of November, we expect to really cut off all unnecessary spending at a certain point in the year, and really only just salaries and wages and other normal expenses occur. So you should see some months come under that 8% and some months be over.
Well, except that the approvals for certain construction bills particularly are coming
Yes.
through, so that can take a month or two.
The delay.
Right, so we're gonna get hit then, even though the work was done earlier in the fall.
Yep, if we go to the next page. We also broke this out. This is just this is a preview of what the fire tax fund will look like. I won't spend a ton of time here unless there are any questions on this. We haven't received any monies yet, and we have not expended anything here.
Now, what's coming out of that versus the general fire fund? Is it,
Can you go up to, can you back up to the general?
like I see wages, maintenance, equipment, but those same things exist in the other one.
Yeah, as you can see here at the middle section, public safety fire, that line item, we have $1.9 million approximately coming out of there. And down below, just scroll to the next page as well. One more, thank you. We have 506,000 of expense expected there as well. So all in all, we have $2.4 million that we spend on our fire fund. Some of that is spent by general fund, some of that is in the fire tax fund. Given that this is the first year of a fire tax, we generally see municipalities either shift all of those costs over to the fire tax section out of general fund entirely at some point. So that may be something to consider and think about in the future, if that's a reallocation of rates or other discussions, need to be had about that. But the true cost is 2.4.
Right, I just didn't know, are there rules about what comes out of one versus the other? Like, why
Yeah,
have it in two places?
So one of the main rules of an O3 fund, monies have to be spent in active fire suppression or in the pursuit of. So if we were to put in a new kitchen at one of our we only have one fire station, but if we were to put in a new kitchen at the fire station, that would not qualify under our O3 fire tax fund. If you look up, there's actually state audit records of a lot of volunteer fire companies and of Fund 3s where people get in a lot of trouble for, oh, we bought the four-wheeler for the fire department and, Rich was taking it hunting. Or we put in a new kitchen or we put in TVs, or that can't be paid for out of O3. Those things have to be paid out of general fund. So there are some things that have to get paid out of one or the other. If Wyomissing were ever to go in the direction of having a fire commissioner, not suggesting that or recommending it, if they were, some municipalities differ on the rules of whether or not that can be paid out of O3 versus O1. So that's another example. Because a fire commissioner is not necessarily active fire suppression versus a regular firefighter would be.
Tanya, there's also limits from that millage specifically for the fire tax fund. There are also percentage limits on what can be used to pay salary expenses for career and management.
The state of PA passed a law a year or two ago that allowed for first-class townships neighboring, and not boroughs, but first-class townships neighboring large cities, the ability to raise their fire tax beyond the regular rate for the rest of the state, which highly benefited the groups right outside suburban Philadelphia and not anywhere else. But that's an aside. In our road tax fund, we brought in $5,000 for the current month. That was mostly left over from people whose properties were about to get liened and needed to pay things off. But we haven't had anything yet in the road. And we actually looked at this yesterday. The total cost for road paving in the township includes a portion from general fund as well. So it's $699,000. So in addition to that 551, there's another amount from the general fund.
That 690,000 isn't cut down extremely from where
Or what?
it would like it to
It-
Which is
be.
about 1.5
Yeah.
is what we used to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at one point, I think he said there was a 5-year plan to get through roads and it was gonna cost
Yeah.
$8.5 million.
He's told me.
Yeah. So yeah, we're under budgeting and kicking things down the road.
One thing we haven't done as long as I've been on council is set legislative priorities. I think we ought to consider it. I think we ought to have a list of things we want our legislators to look at and prioritize it from our standpoint. If you see something.
Mhm. My recommendation would be a capital improvement plan, a 5-year capital improvement plan. Everywhere we go, we recommend the fund balance reserve policy and the capital improvement plan. And those two things set the tone and direction for, oh, now we know what dollar amount our reserves need to be. Oh, and here's our budget, and here's where either our rates or our taxes need to be. And when that's communicated well in communities, residents are happier. Not
Everything's relevant.
residents are happier.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had this discussion about 5-year financial planning, 5-year capital, like just trying to, we don't have any
Right,
Yeah.
forward-thinking plan at all.
right.
Right.
But I guess I didn't make my point well. Philadelphia was very successful in getting this. Are
Right.
there laws that we ought to be asking our state legislators
Hmm.
to consider? Because the police department has had a couple of,
But I don't think they're gonna consider us until we have these plans in place. and
Maybe,
Say like,
but
this
we-
is what
Yeah.
we're
but unless
looking.
we have,
Right.
unless we work on this,
Right,
this is not something we're gonna do overnight.
Right.
So I think we need to work on this at the same time. So if you think of some laws that might
An-
benefit us if they were changed.
Another thing I will throw out about the road fund and capital projects in general is just a general statement on local government and debt spending. And some people are averse to debt in our personal lives. I think that is incredibly helpful. In local government, debt can be used incredibly effectively to maximize value for taxpayers. And it needs to be thought about from a perspective of interest rate minus cost of inflation equals your cost of borrowing from a percentage standpoint. And when we're looking at inflation for local government, a lot of people throw it into the number that the Fed throws out. But that's not what inflation is for local government. If we are to buy a piece of heavy machinery and equipment 2 years from now or 3 years from now, all out in cash, we're not seeing 2.3% or 5%. We're seeing 15%. And so when you look at, oh, we have an interest rate on a piece of heavy machinery in a lease agreement of 6 or 7 or 8%, that minus the 15% is a negative cost of borrowing. So our dollar that we're allowed to maximize and effectively we're benefiting the generations of today and tomorrow with that as a municipality. Just something to consider, something to think about when we look at a 5-year capital plan.
yeah, I agree with that, but I wanna make sure that spending is spent on generational items, on buildings, on
yes,
large projects, not on daily,
Time,
expenses.
yes.
Like, we
That's-
should not be using that loaned money on paying the utilities or
Yes,
salaries.
yes, correct. There is, in addition to a fund balance reserve policy, there's a host of general policies. One is an investment policy, one's a debt policy, one is a one-time revenue policy. So if we ever get one-time, not that the federal government is going to ever do the ARPA program again, but if we were to ever have that program again, we would want a one-time revenue policy where we would stipulate that that money is not going to be spent on anything that's going to increase expenses in the future, like adding a community center or something. That's not a one-time expense. A one-time revenue should match one-time expenses. So that's
Right.
just important things for local governments to consider. So back to the presentation here, EMS tax, as you can see, this is we have not expended any monies here. In addition, the same story as the fire department. These are expenses that were in the general fund that are coming out of and going into their own fund as well. In our water fund, our total revenues are at 5% of the year, and our total expenses are about 8% of the budget on the year. So I would think that that's normal. It falls in my range of normal for the year. If I see 10% in February, I'm going to be concerned about revenue.
Paid quarterly.
It's paid quarterly, yeah. So that may be a little bit cyclical. So that's where we're at with those. We're pretty on point with our water fund right now.
Janet, commercials paid monthly.
That's why it's not like 2% or 3%. Yeah. In our sewer fund, we brought in 267,000 in revenue so far, about 7% of our budget, and we're at 8% of expense. And water and sewer, normally with an enterprise fund, the rate has to cover the budget, and that's the entirety of the design. And so at the end of the year, we should be around zero. Around zero in water's case is a $200-some thousand deficit and $115,000 surplus. Here is what's been budgeted. So we can dig into deeper analysis of the water and sewer funds later as well. Our refuse fund, this is our trash services that we offer to our residents. Two big drivers here: service fees and our contractual expenses. So our service fees, we've brought in 24% on the year. That's billed quarterly. So we saw this was either the fourth quarter of 25 or the first quarter of, I think it's the fourth quarter of 25 that came in. So that's a normal amount that we would expect to see there. And then our number one expense is our contractual line item there. And you're going to see that number go up substantially because 3% is a little low on that the first month. I just don't think that invoice came in.
And there was no yard waste collection in January or February, so we just got the invoice to start
Does that go like March to November or something?
March to December.
March, December, okay. Yeah. In our highway aid, this is the liquid fuels account. So when we go to the pumps, the reason our gas prices are higher than New Jersey's are because we pay taxes to the state of PA through our gasoline. All of that money goes into a shared pot. That shared pot gets divvied up into for every municipality in the state of PA by a factor of population and mileage of road. So that's the backstory on this. We are expecting to receive $349,000 of state aid. That money came in 3 days ago, 350, I think it's 351 or 356, I forget which, but that money did come in and hit our account, so all that revenue will be accounted for. We spend this money on 3 things: street lights, PP&L bills, and some med ed, line painting, and we call it supplies, but we throw road salt and we can only spend this money on the roads. So that's what we have here. And we have the ability, and I would not recommend this, but we do have the ability out of this fund to buy equipment and to pay for road paving. The administrative burden of those things, in my opinion, is much higher than the benefit.
Talk to Jim Babb about why we stopped using liquid fuels money for paving projects, primarily because some of the ramps, like the ADA ramps, we have to build them in PennDOT specs. I want to say we did multiple blocks, 2012-ish, that all had to be ripped out and redone. So around that time, we stopped using liquid fuels for any type of paving project and have not used it for that since.
As you know, a lot of the money that comes from the state and the federal government does come with strings. We were at a municipality that built a fire department or a fire station brand new and applied for a RACP grant for that and did not receive a dime of their $2.5 million because they built the building with Canadian steel and not American. So as an example, these are just...
We had 30 steel angles that had to be taken out.
Yep. So overall, however, while I didn't want to lead with this, I did want all of you to see this, a consolidated viewpoint of where we're at with total funds. So when people ask, oh, what's the total budget of Wyomissing? You have we have a $30 million budget. Well, your general fund is 19, and that's the way we should talk about it. Our general fund is 19, and our other funds have various amounts. And so this is the overall picture. And I would expect the most important number here is the total expenditures need to be around 8%. And so right there at the bottom of the page, we're at 7. So I would think this is normal for any given January for any year. And I think that's it on that.
Anything else anybody has?
Could I just ask a couple of questions? Yeah. My first one, Scott, is how frequently are we viewing deposit accounts, if at all? Okay. I mean, I understand there may be very little variance in the interest rates, but that's maybe something to consider. I don't know how long we've been with Tompkins.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. I thought you meant.
No, I mean our checking, like our.
Yes.
Right? Because we're talking about
so-
interest is terrible. So, okay, maybe there's no option to improve the interest on that. But I would like to
There
know
are
if anyone is reviewing that and whether we're taking steps to consider improving the interest we gain from that.
Yeah, if I had free reign, I would love to RFP the banking services.
And my other question would be, who is determining the allocation on the Pliget accounts, whether between prime and the lesser interest?
Oh, so yeah, let me explain.
Statutorily determined.
It is not statutorily determined, and we could put in a procedure that would define what we do. But I will explain what we do. Our check run occurs on Wednesdays, and monies go out the door. Signings usually happen Thursdays. And so on Tuesday, what we do is we look at our working account and we say, okay, we need money for the check run. So we take money from the Pliget Prime, where the majority of the money is. We draw it down into Pliget Class if we need it. And then that has to go from Tuesday to Wednesday. From Wednesday to Thursday, we take it from Pliget to Tompkins. And then from Thursday, really, and I'll have to do this later today, we move the money from the individual accounts into the working account. So that's the flow of cash. It's not, we don't have excess funds in any account. The majority of the money goes into that Pliget Prime and is only drawn down when we need it. So in the last few months, we've just been drawing down, and that's been because our cash flow is in this cycle. At the end of March here, we're going to be putting some back. And so another thing, and I'll talk about this I'll just talk about this now, it doesn't matter. On February 17th, our Pliget CD matured. And so our Pliget CD rate is not substantially different from our Pliget Prime rate right now. And so as we have cash flow, I don't think it's necessary for us to renew a CD, lock us in, unless, I want to say two things here. Unless if the Fed gets aggressive on interest rate lowering, we can look at that. The other, because it would make better sense to, let's lock in a 3.5 now but according to our cash flow, it looks like in August, that's the time for us to consider that, because that's when we get the 6-month CD like we did last year. So does that help answer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. There are other banks that are in the area that I know of that have told me they would match what I see at other municipalities, which is around 3.2, 3.3% on checking accounts, no fees.
I'd like to see us maximize that where possible.
Yeah.
Do you have a sample or RFP?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that our next month's agenda?
Yeah, I have,
Yeah,
I have information on this month's agenda to do some stuff.
One of the questions I asked to a neighboring authority here, why they moved from Tompkins to their current bank, the exact reason they told me was interest rates. That's a good question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, I like interest where I can get it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Yep. I want to make a note about this next item, which is the GASB 67 and 68. And this is just going to be from a big picture. When we talk about GASB 67, 68, and 40, and I think the other is 72, we need to think about GASB 67 are the rules for the pension fund itself. GASB 68 are the rules for the government employer. So GASB 67 and 68, this info basically is telling us whether or not we're playing by the rules on both sides. We don't need to, this is not something we need to dig into a ton, but just so you're aware, GASB 40, this is a question of are our investments safe? And it's a determination by our actuary about that. And then GASB 72 is the actual math of what our investments are actually worth. So this is just a normal yearly annual statement that occurs. And it's just normal that it's a normal approval. That's really all I can say about it. There was nothing in it that I saw to be exceptional. Yeah. Well, the returns were, but nothing else. Nothing else.
Any other questions on that? Okay, so we do have a motion on here. We need a motion to approve the Gatsby 67, 68, 40, and 72 statements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, number 7, the audit communication letter.
1 second to find it.
This audit communication letter is a legal requirement for every audit firm to give to every board or governing body, council as well. And so this just talks about what their responsibilities are and what our responsibilities are. And there will be some other letters as well that will come this is like at the beginning of the audit, and we'll get another letter or two. And then they will present to our council when the audit results are final. So at this point, we're through our field work. They were here, they were on site. We're done from that perspective. This is one of the earliest municipalities that I know of that audit is done and wrapped up.
What's this significant risk that they're mentioning?
That, hang on, like the plan scope timing, significant risks. Yep.
Yes.
That's just normal things that they have to communicate. So so when they say our audit will include an understanding of the entity, including the system, sufficient to assess the risks of material misstatement of the financial statements.
Next paragraph.
Yep. Oh, sorry.
Said we have identified the following significant risks.
Yeah. So this is, to explain this one. So generally accepted auditing standards is what GAS stands for. Significance includes management overrides and controls. This is one of those things where we have so few people in the finance function that certain things that if we had a department of 5 or 10 could be delineated where not one person is having preparation and review and approval. If we can work in a way that I think we can design certain things to bolster that and to strengthen that. However, I will also say we see this at many municipalities. Many places have that in the letter, and it doesn't, no matter what they do, it doesn't go away year after year.
It's a segregation of duties. Just
Right.
don't have enough people.
Right. Okay. Thank you. We need a motion to approve, council accept the audit communication letter from Cherry Becker.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All those, do we have any discussion on this? No? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, ayes have it. All right, RAC P reimbursement.
Jen, just as a clarification question, item number 12.
The money we're talking about.
I was wondering if this
Yes.
is the same.
It's so, yes, it is the same
Okay.
money. I know we discussed and we want to put whatever grant money we received towards the loan. What I'd like to know is what was our match, if we had any match for that? What's that?
50%.
Okay, so the match for that, I would say we can pull from, it is my belief that we could take that match money, so 1.25 mil.
We've already spent that.
Right, we've already spent it. But I'm saying we could pull from our debt fund and move that into the general fund and say we can now use this as, let's say, operating expenses. Because we're borrowing money. This was for a long-term project, is what I'm saying. This was for the Public Works Department, a long-term project. The current resident taxpayers don't need to be paying $1.5 million towards it. It can be spread out over the course of this long-term loan, is what I'm, we already spent the money, but we can sort of reimburse ourselves that money and say that that 1.25 was long-term loan. The other 1.75 left over of that 3 million or so, whatever the numbers are, I think needs to be set aside, and that money should not be, it needs to be put in reserve, because that is borrowed funds, and I don't want to use that for any daily operating expenses. It should be going towards another large project, be it the police department or the fire, it is my opinion. I don't want to see that loan money just sitting in the general fund being used.
So you don't want to draw down, you don't want to pay off.
I want to pay off part of the loan. We have a $5 million loan. We want to pay off the 2.592 that we received. And then the remainder of that would really actually be like, what, 2 point, what's that?
Is that just the 393,000 in our Pliget account?
Yeah,
That's the proceeds that are left over.
Proceeds.
Yeah.
The proceeds that are left over.
There's 393,000 still left of that loan, and it's sitting in that, what was the account, was it debt, was called?
In the Pliget account, yeah, the debt.
It's in there still, that's all that's left.
Well, no, the loan we took out was 5 million.
Yes, I know.
Right.
We
And we,
expended everything but 393,000.
so we spent 4.7. So we spent all of the loan money already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. If we spent, like, we took out the loan after we spent all the money.
We took the Tompkins short-term loan and then refied the balance of that onto the Webster long-term loan. So
Okay.
we basically, we were floating expenses through that bridge loan, we can't call it a line of credit. We were floating the expenses through that short-term bridge loan.
Okay.
When the project was completed, we took the balance from that short-term bridge loan and refinanced it into the long-term Webster's loan, because that was a requirement of the
For the
RACP
RACP.
program.
Okay.
Rec P grant with a under 5-year loan.
So we,
The Webster loan allows us to make a one-time only.
one-time only payment.
Only
Right.
payment, and it
For
has to be,
principal.
sorry, yes, principal, has to be done prior to June of this year,
Correct.
yes.
Yes, and I want to do the whole amount that we received from
So
RACP.
in that case, 2.6 comes in, 2.6 goes out.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying we basically already spent the loan money, and the only money left to pull from that loan is the 330,
393.
393.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So then, yeah, that other question down there is kind of a moot point. I would,
Clarification.
yeah, I would make a motion to approve recommending council authorize one-time principal payment on the Webster Bank loan in the amount of $2,592,525.
Second.
Any discussion?
Why are we doing this? Does it decrease our payments? Does it shorten the life of the loan? What is the benefit to us to make this?
Amort, for sure.
Yeah, part of it's that. It may be, there's a lot of new council members. We have a financial advisor who specializes in debt, who helped us through this process, PFM. And if the council wants, it may be important to have them, since we don't technically have to do this at today's meeting.
Could we not earn interest on this money until we have to pay
We
it? I
could,
mean,
yeah.
We're also paying interest.
Of course.
Yeah, and we're
yeah.
paying a higher interest than we're earning currently.
But
Right.
That's what happens when you borrow. I mean, it's, you never get more, you rarely get more in interest than you pay on borrowing. It's not how it works.
it may be, if the council wants, we could have somebody from PFM come and explain the whole rationale and give some options and why they would be. Right now, with this question, I don't have the information right now to give this with the historical context. He might know better than I would.
I mean, I think the intent when PFM came in to solicit, bids for lenders to go with, and we were looking at bond or long-term loan options, and ended up obviously going with the loan. The intent of council at that time, based off of conversations, was always to make this one-time only principal payment. I mean, we specifically asked for loan documents and lenders that would allow us to do that.
And I mean, you provided me with those documents. I just think, it's always, we should ask questions before we do this instead of just, that's all. Because it's gonna go to council and then council's gonna be left to make this decision and.
Yeah, but doesn't it, and you can prove me wrong, if we're gonna be paying 4.1% interest on this loan, if we remove this principal amount, we're no longer paying the 4.1% interest on that 2.5 million.
Well, the principal's lower. Yeah.
Right. And if you want to hold on to it, we're only going to get 3.5%. but we're
I'm just
paying.
raising.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying,
I'm
like,
just asking questions so that questions
Yeah.
have been asked in a public forum before we get put on the spot in council to make this decision. And I think, again, given that we can wait till June, is it June or July?
it has to be paid by June 1st.
So I think, yeah, it's great, we get this money from RACP, wonderful, let's do it. But maybe we don't just throw the money back out, maybe we take some time to consider. I'd like to hear what your debt expert says, and it very well may be, that's exactly right, we should just pay it, let's do it, that's fine. But let's be considerate, because I feel like a lot of this is just the sense of like, when you have a debt and you get money, you go, let's just pay it. But let's take some consideration, no one's holding a gun to our head to pay this debt, and if it makes sense, we'll do it, awesome. But I think we should be considerate, but I don't have a vote at this table in this situation, so you guys decide what you want to do.
Can you tell us what the monthly payments are now to Webster and what they would be?
I can get
And
that.
estimate what we would
Okay.
pay if we made this payment.
The payment now, it's not monthly, it's one time.
Well, I
It's
think it's
interest
annually in
only,
December.
annually, and it's like 300 and some thousand.
It's interesting.
I think so, the first.
Oh, the first, yeah, if they do 2 payments a year, yeah.
It's one time a year, isn't it?
So, yeah.
Bills has that in, it's in the overall, if you go back to your budget worksheets, it
Yeah.
shows it. No,
Yeah, you-
I'm talking like the line item by line item we went through in 25 for budget discussion.
And it's
So that sounds like the
4.1%,
amount in
right?
Pliget though. Is that, right, the same 393?
I'm sorry?
Is that what's reserved in the Pliget account then? The 393? Is
The
that the annual?
393 was coming from the difference of, we had taken out the long-term loan around the same time we were wrapping up the project that was being funded through the short-term loans. And when we solicited the bids and actually financed everything, there was that small window of difference. So there was not an intention to be in excess, but.
No, it just sounded like it matched the same monthly payment amount.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we can discuss it. It just makes sense that if we're paying 4.1 and we're only gaining 3.5, that we're losing 0.6% in interest.
Is there anything like that we need I don't know, we're okay for the moment, right? We don't need extra cash right now for anything?
We always need extra cash.
Or like, is
Well,
there
if
anything
there are other-
pressing?
Right, or
We
is there
have
other
Pliget.
capital that,
Yeah,
if you
Pliget.
needed to borrow money now?
We only need to hold on for months.
I won't want to do anything without a capital plan. So we have some that's left over from last year, but not like, yeah, not yet.
Yeah, I'm only, it makes sense to pay down the loan. I'm only suggesting, like, do we need $100,000 for something now? Because we can
Tax money.
deposit 2.4 instead of.
We should get our first check.
Yeah, tax money.
March and April, about 80%.
We're swimming in
Tax,
cash.
A lot of money.
Okay.
Really, $4 or $5 million.
So then if we wait to approve this, it won't go before council for another month. And then we'll just be paying more interest, right?
In 1 month interest. I don't know the exact dollar amount interest rate, but as an example, if it were 4.5,
I think it's 4.1.
4.1,
Yeah, it's 4.01 on a 20-year schedule and 3.955 or 3.115.
Yeah, I mean, I like information.
it's $7,800 is the difference
And-
between this month and next month.
Yeah, we might as well not burn $7,000.
It's important to remember what Michelle said, that when you solicited the bids from the banks, if you wouldn't have required the ability to pay that one-time prepayment, your rate would have been lower. I can't quantify that for you, but that's just how it would work.
Mm.
Your rate would have been lower because the bank would have been making money on that, those funds outstanding over the full 20-year, and, you know, you
Right.
could say, but it's just another factor to consider.
So, yeah, we paid to be able to do this.
Exactly.
And
Thank you.
The intention was to use the back money to.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
This council can change its mind.
Yeah. No, it's a good
Yeah, no,
question.
it's a good question. I'm just looking at the numbers.
It's a good question.
Because Michelle was kind enough to provide me the documents.
What are your
At
thoughts?
best, if we put this money in
I
to
would
the
think
plig
I'd
it,
pay it off.
as Jen said, we're gonna lose a fraction of a percent. It wouldn't be 7,000, but we're gonna lose something.
It's not a requirement, it's an option.
Oh, it is, okay.
It's not a.
That was why I wanted to see this in the first place, to know if it was required or not.
I'd pay it off.
Okay.
We already agreed to pay it.
Also.
Yeah, the former council did, yes, we did all agree.
Sure, probably get another loan at a lower rate,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's not like it's the only loan you could ever get.
Right.
That'd be really difficult to get.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, you guys are cut
No,
off.
I'm glad that we just worked out the numbers.
Thanks for taking it seriously.
Thank you for being here.
So what does the committee want to do?
There was a motion in a second, so.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. That will go on to council next week. All right, retainer agreements for Hartman and for Kozlov. We received them again.
I have not received,
We have not received costs.
and I've
No.
asked
I-
multiple times.
I talked with Dan Becker last night at the,
Okay.
at the
I
dinner.
didn't realize you were there.
Did he say Michelle's been stalking me?
And, I told him, we don't want this to lapse, but he needs to hustle it, and I told him I would send him I'd given you a list of like 5 things that we needed to get, and I said, I'd dig that out and send it to him.
He has, Heidi was kind
Well,
of,
yeah,
to convert her to
Heidi
what,
had given sample.
and I've resent it twice.
Well, I think he
Okay.
just needs those 5 bullet points, and I told him, take him 5 minutes, it's.
But Hartman and Valeriano got theirs
Yes.
in and we're happy. So I would like to make a motion to approve recommending council execute the retainer agreement with Hartman Valeriano.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? We all read through that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Tanya?
Oh, I didn't know I got a vote.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Never, you know.
Yeah, you can vote.
You vote. You're here at the table. You vote. I'm sorry. Everybody, this is Tanya, if you did not. I'm really bad at this. The other council members here, you met Chris. This
Yep.
is Adam,
Hi.
Jana.
Yep.
And our assistant, our treasurer and our assistant treasurer, Bill. And did you meet it? Have you met everybody else?
Yes, I think
Michelle? Scott, Melissa. All right. Now that I did that an hour late. I'll make a motion to table the Kozlov Stout. Recommending second. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And hopefully we'll have that next month.
Well, I told him it was possible that if he hustled it, it might make the manager's report. I mean,
Yeah, that
because
would be-
Because if we had told them what was lacking, if it had been more open-ended, I'd go back to the committee, but I think.
Yeah, if it comes in, it can certainly go to council in their packet. Should we table it or should we,
I would table it and I could just have the motion.
and you can just add it to, okay. All right, number 10, retainer agreements for professional services. Basically, what I would like to do is the same thing we did with our lawyers for,
I don't think you want to do this because then we're paying people up front for services they haven't rendered. Like currently, they're under contract. And they,
well, I think maybe not retainer agreements, maybe I'm looking for what we're paying everybody. I'm looking for an outline of what services we're getting and what we're paying.
so I'm assuming primarily that would be code enforcement, building code enforcement, property maintenance code enforcement, which we have a contract in place with Kraft, and engineering services, which we have a contract in place with McCarthy.
I want to go down the line. I want to go down to, I mean, we have, we've got cleaning services. Who else comes in? Like,
We have contract.
okay, yeah, then I guess we want to see all those contracts, see what we're paying and see when those contracts, I mean, some of them we can and at our discretion.
Some, yes.
Yes, I want to see where we're at, whether we want to put out RFPs, what we want to know what our numbers are,
Let's do this.
what we're looking at.
Goodness, okay, yeah.
So you need to
Okay.
know.
That scared me because.
So the same thing.
I literally just took the lawyer one and like copied and pasted and put in.
As a vendor, I love it. I love it. You want to pay every vendor up front? Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, I
As a-
want to know what we're paying. I
As your
wanna
interim
know-
CFO, we're gonna lose a month of interest revenue. Let's not do that, please.
But then you also
okay.
need to know the
But
outcomes,
I think it's
The what?
it's wise to review
right?
contracts.
Look at the
Yes.
contracts. I also want to make sure that we are aware of what contracts
Coming up.
extend automatically,
Yeah.
when we have to,
Yeah,
because I think
Right.
we've been caught flat-footed a couple times, especially with the lease in the Highland Park.
Hewitt House?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yes,
we need to get more control.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, the council wants to see
And do we
what
have
we're
a,
paying who
Yeah, when they expire.
and when they expire and what's going on. So we can look at these numbers and say, do these seem appropriate? Do we want to put out RFPs? Do we want to know? And say, yeah, these numbers are appropriate. We like this person, we'll keep them, or we're moving
We
services.
have the same vendor for 47 years. We should shop.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we should know what this,
Perhaps.
right, yeah, we should know what.
Yep.
We've talked at one of the meetings about, wasn't there about, talking with our professional services and like interviewing them and getting,
And we talked about needing having engineering services for.
Right.
So-
but no, doing like, a report, like a.
Yeah.
Can't think of the words right.
Should we table that then? Table this?
Um,
Until they get.
Well, I'm gonna deny it because it's a retainer agreement and that's not what I want.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to deny this because we don't want retainer agreements. Second, any discussion?
I guess, questions. Do we have like a standard contract template that includes things like we want a 30-day written notice out clause, or like what the terms of our,
Every agreement goes through the solicitor's office for review, for the most part.
So I wouldn't say we have a,
But you're right, there should.
but is there a
have a
standard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
and it may be different from.
so like I know in
The answer-
my
The
organization.
answer is no.
Right, so like in my organization, rather than waiting for an individual company to give us whatever they want to include, we have a standards, like these are the specific things that should always be included. And then if they want different, then we negotiate, but,
Right, because we never should have agreed to the terms of the Stratex. We should never agree to a contract where we couldn't get out before.
There was another municipality I worked with that had a 5-year, they had a 5-year IT contract with a firm in Lancaster that it was like $250 a year and they couldn't get out of it.
Yeah. Not acceptable.
They would have to pay the whole
yeah, there
amount.
should always be a performance clause, you know, and then just a convenience. So what is the penalty or cost to get out for convenience even?
Yeah, so those are the numbers we're looking for. I don't know if we can,
So contracts, cost, term,
But maybe our solicitor could prepare a list of standard items that we should have it look for in every contract. So,
In it,
let's look at where we're at.
I will also throw out,
that's-
just to give everyone the forest through the trees a little bit on, if we're reviewing those contracts too, I just want it on council's mind that our biggest vendors, not to look at it this way, but our 3 biggest vendors, we need a negotiation committee because we do have a negotiation coming up. Our 3 biggest line item expenses in our budget are our police wages, our fire wages, and our public works wages. So as we're looking at review of contracts, I think that does need to be a high priority on the council's list of here's what we need to start thinking about, start talking, having these discussions. And we have one of these every year. And it's a pretty big line item.
We do one,
You have one
They
negotiation.
rotate.
It
Rotate.
expires this
Yeah.
year, and then police department will be in 27, and
Yeah.
then public works will be in 28, and repeat.
Usually whatever's approved in year 1, the next group asks for and more, and the next group asks
Yes.
for.
okay. I think we have.
Sorry to butt in there, I just wanted that.
No, absolutely, absolutely, thank you. So we have a motion and a second to deny the retainer agreements and discussion. All those in favor? Aye, okay. Yeah, if you guys can get some of those numbers together for me, and then I can put on the next agenda, sort of some discussion or something, we'll see. The next item, number 11, was something that came up in one of the classes I was at, and y'all can do what you want with it. The discussion was in one of the boroughs or towns, one of the municipalities, the committee sort of approved the agenda as a group in the beginning. And that made it sort of, it gave them all ownership of the agenda. It was just sort of we're all in agreement. We've read the agenda, we've read the documents, we're in agreement. I don't know if this is something you guys want to do. If you were to oppose the agenda, I think that would be because there's something that you've been asking to be put on that agenda that has not been added. You can certainly oppose the agenda, state what you'd like, and that will get it on the record, so that it can hopefully be put on the agenda the following month. This was just something I thought was kind of interesting, and I wanted to throw it out there to y'all.
Can I ask some questions?
Yes.
Just to understand how it works. So if somebody opposes, does the committee, commission, board then not talk about that item?
No, I think you would oppose the agenda as written overall, not necessarily a line item. If you were to oppose the agenda overall, I think there would be a reason as to why, because we did not, you did not put this item on here that I think is incredibly important, and I've been asking for it for the last 2 months. And I would request that if we're moving forward with this agenda, that it get put on next month's agenda.
And to me, this makes absolutely no sense.
Okay.
And maybe it's failure of my imagination, but it seems to me, I think that anybody ought to have the ability to ask that things be put on an agenda. And I think that committee chairs ought to give great deference to a request from anybody, regardless of whether they are on that committee. And if it's not put on, I think that you can talk in public comment. But I'm concerned that if you vote against an agenda, then if a majority votes against an agenda and they each might want something different on it, then where are you? Can you not have the meeting? You can't change the agenda because you haven't given the requisite notice to the public.
Well,
So I don't want to be in that, I don't.
And at this point, they did change that back, but.
Only for certain things though. And then there's the concern of now Melissa has to post that within 24 hours after the meeting, so there's an additional staff time that goes into it. And my biggest thought was, what if you have an item on the agenda that the committee opposes and you have people show up solely to give public comment on that item and now you're not talking about it? Like, just out of respect to people taking time to come, how would that work?
Okay, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. I
I'm not-
wanted input. and
I'm
discussion.
neutral on it, just questions that went through my head when I saw it.
Yeah,
But
No, I
I
wanted
thought
input.
that in class, the person's concern was that her colleagues were never putting anything on the agenda that she thought should be discussed.
right.
And I just think there are different ways of, public comment, I think, is the more powerful way to do that,
Okay.
and less messy.
You guys have any input?
I agree with the spirit of it, and I think we can still accomplish that, just,
Without.
with
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to throw it out there. I thought it
Motion
was
to
interesting.
deny.
What's that?
I make a motion to deny.
Okay, do we have a second?
So,
All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? All right,
Can I pause the recording for 1 second?
you sure can. Thank you for entertaining me. So
Yeah.
are we back on?
suggestion.
The debt money topic is not needed because we covered that prior. Kristen and I have had a lot of discussion on meeting advertisements on social media in terms of getting clear and consistent messages out. We wanted to make sure that the borough opens up an Instagram account, which we do not currently have. And that all information, because your Facebook accounts are really hitting the 50-plus community. Your Instagram accounts are hitting the 30 and 40-year-olds.
And some was going.
Oh. And some of you don't go, then you go to the website for the information.
I'm not a social media person.
So we're looking for, we do have now a borough Facebook account. which is fantastic. We want to get a borough Instagram account. We want the information to be shared on Instagram, Facebook. It goes out when the notify me message goes out, which is when the agendas come out.
So timing issue on that.
Okay.
Melissa auto sets those to go out. So like when we were talking about this internally, from Randy's perspective as the person that's gonna be posting on social media, that's gonna, not saying we can't do it, I just want everybody to understand how it works. That's gonna require coordination between, hey, this is gonna go live at, a lot of times they're overnight, like they're sent out.
It's scheduled posts.
Yes, understood, but it's still gonna require communication, and there are times when we are coming down to the wire to send out. I'm trying to think of it, like, we wait to send personnel out, and infrastructure is another good one, like, those are short periods, because things that are coming in,
The link's also changed.
yes, the
I don't
link.
have a link until it's posted.
So there's a lot that goes into that our concern was just the likelihood of them necessarily being able, like, okay, the email blast goes, it's on the agenda, or it's on the website, it's hitting all the social media accounts at the same time. That's not a guarantee. And as long as everybody can be flexible, there might be a span of 12 to 24 hours.
Why can't the link just be to the area where the materials individually exist as opposed to the individual document?
That's what we requested, is that it just
You know,
go
so-
to /agenda sender.
Can't be, but people are dumb. They'll click and comment.
Being recorded.
Let's not speak about our residents in those terms, please.
People will look at it, click it, and then email, call, and say, I can't find the link.
Right, but there's got to be a balance between the people want to know when these meetings are happening and like, so maybe the generic link is out there and with a disclaimer that individual documents may not be posted until 48 hours before or whatever that is. And just, you know, we hear a lot, I think, from people that they want to see these notices. A lot of times, you know, that email comes out and it's like, it's tomorrow, the meeting, you know? So I think, again, there's got to be a balance, and maybe the disclaimer on the bottom of that, hey, this meeting's happening is, you know, a link will be provided at a later time, you know.
That email shouldn't be going out 24 hours, because that email goes out when Melissa posts everything on the website, which per our requirements is no less than 3 business days.
No, not the email, the Facebook.
So it doesn't have to go out within a 2-hour window. It has to go out within a reasonable amount of time
You
near the,
want
I want
Similar to like 3
consistency.
business days for the
Yes,
agenda. You want like
business
3
days. We've
days.
had occasions where posts have gone out and then residents show up and say, we've been given 10 hours notice. And it's like, well, no, you haven't. Like,
Yeah, it's
this
on the
stuff went on the website a week ago, but
Also, our meetings, our entire meeting schedule for the entire year
Exactly.
is approved the year before, is on the website, advertised in the Reading
Right.
Eagle. We have a phone number that you can call and ask.
But people look for their information on Facebook and Instagram. So the goal is to get those posts out as aligned as possible with
We do
Notify Me.
If it's within that 3-day window,
What do you mean?
I mean, that's
Like,
part of
not
the
just-
policy, right? That's not, it's only 24 hours.
not just one,
Right.
like if we do one 3 days ahead.
I mean, they can literally be created and scheduled
Yeah.
at the beginning of the month. I mean, there's 8 meetings, you spend 30 minutes creating the 8 meetings, updating the information. There was also an image we had with it where we want to make sure that each sort of committee has their own consistent image
Hold on, I have too many.
that stays the same for that committee so that it becomes rote memory. You see that image, it tells you it's finance. You see that image, it tells you it's infrastructure. And the only thing that changes, and all the information is in the image because people don't like to click and look around because they can be short on time, we'll say. So all the information is right there up front. March 5th, 8 a.m., boom.
Scott wants to put stacks of cash.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Gets Oscar the
We
Grouch.
want Oscar the Grouch.
We can do Oscar. I mean, it does, I don't care what the photo is, as long as it's consistent every month for that committee and it creates
The trash.
a memory in people's minds that, oh, I know that image, that's finance, I want to go to that finance, and they don't even have to click on anything because it says March 5th, 8 a.m. So that's what we're hoping for. Do you have any input on that, Christian? You showed up just in time.
Yes, yeah. So Randy and I had talked a little bit about like consistency and messaging and things like that. And I think that it is important for like the borough to retain its tone that you've created, but I also think these can be independent of that. Like these are from council specifically pertaining to the meetings alone, and like that's it. So just keeping them very minimal. Hopefully that'll lighten your load too. You can literally just change the date and just blast it out there. But yes, I think that would be good. And I think switching up the images too, even if we pull those and provide them, just to, it'll jump out.
But keep finance the same image every month.
Yes, yeah. But
But
like
different.
The last 2 months.
What's that?
If you look at them now, there's an economic development one, there's a fire and police
Mhm.
one, there's a finance one.
If you're not providing
Yes.
explicit links, I mean, you could schedule these at the beginning of the year. The dates are already known, right? This could be
Except for the
Well,
occasional
we
change
just-
we've had, but yeah,
I
absolutely.
think we want to,
but if it's scheduled, so it's not going to be released. So if it changes, you could go modify.
we want to link to the agendas, right? Which would be,
Yeah, now the question Randy had brought up is, I thought we should link just to the agenda center, but he wants to link directly to the agenda and a link to the documents then?
okay. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's not
that's fine.
available until.
And then-
Well, that's when this post would go
So-
out as well, like when they
Typically, it's
notify me.
within 24 hours of Melissa posting it, because I get a notification on my phone.
Mhm.
Right.
And as soon as I get that, I go in and do it. The one you're referencing is when Jaded's page, somebody made a comment of, you just posted this 10 hours before the meeting. What that was updated documents
Right,
for that specific meeting.
understand.
So how it was worded made it look like, oh, you're just giving us information 10 hours
Right.
before.
But the goal is to get consistency.
Of getting notified, you notify me, Melissa posting it, I can get it up and posted. I still recommend having direct links to the supporting documents and the agenda itself.
That's more work for you because you can't pre-schedule them.
Right.
I would,
But I think it's vital that that's there, otherwise there's gonna be a ton of phone calls and emails and posts that I have to reply back to.
Okay,
With more time, in my opinion.
okay, that's fine.
I think some of the times when I click the link, it just takes me to the agenda center anyway. I'm not sure which one it is that does that, but it just takes it takes me to where I can click either one. Maybe that's the agenda link. But one of them just takes me there and then everything's right there in front of you. And it narrows it to just specific to whatever committee it is. So it like has
Why
it
do we
filtered.
need something in addition to the borough site? Why?
We do.
People don't
We
use-
do.
people don't
Utilize-
use
I mean,
absolutely do.
I'll tell you that personally, I lived fat, dumb, and happy in ignorance that this even occurred in the borough until I saw a Facebook post about some things and was like, I need to get involved. I need to see what's going on. I need to, and again, it wasn't, because I didn't care. I just didn't know.
I got involved because I went to wyomissingborough.org and
Yeah,
I found,
but you're the
So-
exception, and
Well-
people get their information in different manners. We need to accommodate that. Otherwise, we have one person in particular providing slanted information about borough operations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think like
how
we've all been,
slanted.
we've all
Have
been,
you read Real Wyomissing Borough recently?
Yes.
We've-
I look at it several times a week.
Exactly.
That's
Our
the
web,
way-
our web.
No, I'm not speaking about our
Close to
website. I'm
you.
talking about Mr. Jadek's
That's
Facebook.
not an official website.
No.
Right.
Right, but that's where people,
but here's the thing though, and,
Well, I know you can't control what people look at, I mean, you know.
but we've all been in a
We're trying to
meeting
provide a
where
chan-
where residents have been shamed for not going to the borough website. That was done at the, the well-attended council meeting where the tax hike was increased and people were shamed. You should have known this. It's been out there. It's on the website. It's your fault. And no, that's not how we should operate. People shouldn't have to go seek the information. It should flow to them. It should be passive. And that's why Real Wyomissing Borough, which is Facebook, is more heavily read than anything on the borough website because people are on their couch getting the feed. It's coming to them.
And that is
That's what
not
we
our
want.
site. It's a site run by a resident that gives his
Which is
view
why I don't
of
look at
information.
Facebook.
Right.
I have
But-
Facebook.
but again,
People are sympathetic to
social
that.
media is generational.
But I mean,
and the
that's
how
reality
they get
is
their
that-
information.
I know what's real or not.
All right, I'm gonna reel us back in.
Yeah.
What we're looking for is to make sure that we can get this information to the residents on as many forums as possible. So we need to start an Instagram page, we need to share it on stories in the new, all the information should be, the important information should be in the image. People want to look at a picture, see the information, and move on. Whether they click on the Agenda Center or not is up to them. We don't want to give any extensive transcript on it. They can find all that information in the agenda. We don't want to skew anybody's viewpoint. We just want to provide the information on all these avenues and keep it consistent in the minds of the residents so that it becomes part of their routine.
My question is, what is Randy not going to be able to do because he's spending time doing these things?
This is the one image he can create, and all he has to do is change the date from March 5th to April 7th,
Okay, so.
and then repost
He
it.
has to create
He does it every month already,
Already.
but it's different than what we're asking for. What's that?
8 different images?
Yes,
Already
but
got
it's the
them.
same image that he just translates. And I would like again, Randy, that what you've been doing is great, but we're looking at white words on a white background. And we want that contrast, so it's easier to read.
That's personal preference. I can do it. I just.
Yes, it's-
But
I understand, but I need contrast for accessibility for people with bad vision. Just to be able to read it more
I like the
clearly.
white font too, but I've gotten that feedback also about a
White on white is not easy to read.
use the black.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have anything else on that topic?
Telling me that it's minimal time.
It is, really, from month to month, it's minimal time. If he can update all 8 images at the beginning of the month with the new date and schedule them to go out, it's,
It should be the
He has
same
to-
or
he has to-
same or less.
Customize the link each time.
that's his choice, yes. He's saying that's gonna save more time than just using the agenda link,
Okay.
which was my suggestion,
Yeah,
but
the
if that
only-
works.
I mean, the only thing is, it has, linking to the Agenda Center drives people to the website, which is what we want.
Right.
So that's the
Agreed.
counter argument. It's.
Yeah, you're gonna see more of the
what they're saying
website.
is people aren't going there, and this is one way to drive them there. But I understand Randy sort of knows what people call to complain about. But we are agreeing to start an Instagram page, a
that started
borough
last
page.
night.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Thank you.
It's live. I haven't posted anything. It's live.
That's great.
I'll have to follow you.
This is really important.
I have a question about using the rec Facebook page. I've seen a drop in followings. I can't say it's because I'm sharing more and more borough specific. I haven't decreased the amount of Parks and Rec information, but I've increased the amount of fire and police, meetings, and other than Parks and Rec information. That's the only thing I can see that's different, but there's a drop in likes and follows and engagement since I've been doing that.
Yeah,
So I would be careful. I can keep doing it, and there's certain things I think should be on there. But if I share everything borough specific on
Yeah.
the Parks and Rec page, I think we're gonna continue.
I would limit that to the overarching
Gotta-
council
Gotta
meeting.
stop
Even though
doing
there's
that.
more followers,
Finance gets the most likes.
Yes,
Never,
100%.
literal never.
Especially in-depth discussion.
Mention the other page anyway, right? To share that information on there. I think it would be appropriate to not share any of this on the rec page. I mean, discretionary, but I don't think the monthly meetings need to be on rec
Yeah.
I
necessarily.
think that was a temporary.
if we can share those monthly meetings in the short term, in the stories,
Yeah.
the rec,
There it is.
then if the rec stories can share, it's gonna help expand the knowledge that there actually is a borough page. Does that make sense?
Hang on.
Yeah, but at some point, Rec's gotta go back to being Rec.
Right, but it's not going on their feed, it's going in their stories. And that's another place that young users follow. So it's a way to get young users to look at the story and say, oh, this is here, oh, there's a borough page on Instagram, boom. On Facebook, I understand. I think on Instagram, we should try and get specifically Borough Rec to, and they don't have a lot of followers as they do on Facebook, to share the borough information, to try and get that crossover over there, because we don't have a lot of followers on Instagram right now, because we haven't had pages being used at all there.
And Randy, maybe you post a did you know Wyomissing Borough has its own Facebook page? You can follow it here,
Yeah,
and then,
I do that like once a month.
right, so I would,
Perfect.
maybe that's
Yeah.
just the pitch that you do for the overarching borough.
Takeovers of the Instagram?
Hey, do some reels. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to table, approve, or deny implementing social media guidelines for meeting. Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
So but the specific things we actually just agreed upon,
And I think you listed a bunch of because some of the things change.
new Instagram page, separating that from my rec event, ultimately.
We don't have an Instagram page. Apparently we do now as of last night.
We have 2 followers.
Yeah, I'm follower number 2.
And I just followed.
Yeah, all right. Mr.
what else?
Glasser,
Get on there, get on Instagram.
But I'm not gonna look at Wyomissing on it. What about MySpace?
Oh, if only.
Okay, you guys stay focused, my friends. All right, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. Let's keep going.
Do we want to turn this into like a written policy?
If
It says guidelines.
It's guidelines. It's not
guidelines,
a
so
policy.
we're starting with guidelines. We'll see how they flow out. And if we need to make tweaks down the line, we can. But I think we're good. Okay. Any opposed? I think I already asked that. Okay, utility bill credit request for 326 North Wyomissing Boulevard.
What happened?
I have a question on the utility bill. I'm seeing that it was 0 water usage for a long time. We're looking at number 14.
The property owner's here to speak.
Oh, you're the property owner. Hello. How are you?
I'm Brad Hall, and I 326.
Okay.
And really, it's just a mystery kind of usage because received a recorded bill that's 72 times larger than normal for a building that's unoccupied, alarmed, and I've worked with Kim Leonard and Jim Batt. They came out to investigate. Saw that the toilet inside that's turned off, goodness of the meter, and there's no outlet using it. But the meter is the meter, and the meter showed that for 61 days, 42,000 gallons of water went somewhere. And mysteriously stopped, which kind of defies logic for a broken appliance or something that didn't fix. And it even kind of defies logic for a third party coming along and using it and then coming back 61 days later and turning it off. And using it ratably during that time period. I provided data that Kim supplied me. The usage, it was like 300 gallons a day, 900, and then and then stopped just suddenly. So I'm familiar with how meters work because I had a 34-year career with UGI. Meters don't fail that way. Okay, they don't go on and then fix themselves or go off. Usually it's a couple percentage off and it gets like, and it does like that. So I was lost. I asked for them to investigate it, which they did. We all came away pretty much scratching our heads and saying, well, I can't give you a credit. You really need to go to the finance committee. I gave the history of what's going on there and some things that I'm doing to better monitor and make sure this doesn't happen again. And one of the biggest problems here is, and I did ask this, is that it's a 90-day bill. So if something goes wrong, you don't find out about it until quite a bit of stuff has gone out, has gone by. You can't address the issue. And I asked, is there a way to, if I go online and do auto pay and all this, there's a way that I can get a monthly bill, you know, so that I could at least deal with an issue like this could never happen again. And given that utility bills, especially water, sewer, aren't really done monthly, I understand. So I really was looking to see if there's a way I could get some kind of credit or relief on a bill that is 10 times larger than it normally would be for this time, for what I would normally be getting the minimum bill this time of year for October to December. I have an $832 bill for usage, which I just can't explain, and I really kind of defies any other kind of explanation, because it just, the water started according to the meter, and I'm not disputing the meter, because the meter's correct right now, and it's showing zero. Water started showing zero, went up to 300 a day, and then went back to zero. And,
That's swimming pool in your basement.
excuse me?
That's swimming pool in your basement.
It's equivalent of a 1.5 swimming pool, right? Yes, it is. And there's no green grass out there, I can assure you. There's no sink pole. We're looking for some obvious signs of.
Is this an old dial meter or is this a newer digital
This is
meter?
all done digitally.
This is a digital meter.
Signal read off of a meter
Right.
that's buried. In
Okay.
There's a curve. Okay. So I never saw the meter, but they did, but Jim and one of his associates did go down in the pit, you know, they checked out.
Okay.
An option normally would be to take the meter out and go have it tested. I saw no point in doing that because that's not how meters fail, and I'm better than that. I didn't want to go through that extra hassle of doing that. So it's a mystery, and brings it to your attention.
I'm sorry for the bill. However, it's clear the water was used. We don't know how, because I saw the usage clearly went up for 2 months, it dropped again. So it can't be a meter issue. And unfortunately, I'm sorry for the bill, but I can't see why the borough should issue a credit when the water indeed was used. So I have a problem issuing a credit.
I think you could look at what we've previously done, which is considered giving a credit on the sewer portion.
Right.
Which typically we've done if there's proof, it was say an outside hose bib, a swimming pool, something along those lines that definitively did not go into the sewer system.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, to my knowledge, we've never given credit on a water bill when the meter was accurate.
That's a dangerous precedent.
Yes. And it's like I said, it's alarmed, it's all, also have outside cameras.
I saw you had this, said the one camera didn't store for the period that you needed.
Yes, the camera, and also the cameras are pointed in a direction for the business, the front of the building and the side where the traffic would normally be, not the back where a host bib. Which I have a quote from the security company to change that. And I did realign the cameras, and for a fee, I can get a larger hard drive, so I can do more than 30 days. It still wouldn't have helped me here just because we're beyond the time period. There's some things I could do if we thought it was third-party usage. That's something I think I can control.
Somebody used the water.
Yeah, I mean, it's an inconsistent number every day. It's not like it was just on.
Now, you saw the chart, clearly for 2 months it went up and it came right down.
So your normal bill would be like $80 to $100, is that what you're saying?
It'd be the minimum bill, $89.
89, but a flat rate, because he doesn't use any water.
And in the summertime, when I am actually using water for the landscaping, it's like that, I probably use 700 gallons instead of 42,000. So that would be the only, but this was not during the summer period.
There was no work done on the property, no landscaping, no irrigation, no.
There's landscaping service that mowing the lawns, that's it.
I once had a person had a similar situation, and irrigators had turned the hose on and left it when it was in the back corner of the property, and they had about a $15,000 water bill. So I just wanted, just to cover that base, yeah, we found this hose under a tree, and it had been running for like
There is a
6
hose,
months.
and there is a garden, what do you call it?
Hose bin?
Do you think?
Hose bin?
No, there is a hose
It's
bin.
for sewer.
It's not a turn on, normal, it's the commercial kind.
You got a
It's so badly
It's
formed.
got a
I
key,
don't-
okay.
So it's a sewer.
It's,
Sewer totals
They're-
21.
they're fairly
The
common.
water totals
It's
were
half the
11.
bill.
but there's a garden hose
So it'd
attached
be a
at
half credit.
the end.
Yeah.
Which I look as a secondary.
Right. And how long is that hose? Like, would it extend? Because I see there's.
Water went
It's-
someplace.
It's, I think it's
Yeah.
like 50 foot,
Max.
so maybe.
Yeah,
it's
I
a-
think
it's
we
a
should
three-
suggest that.
eight inch hose.
Yes.
Typical garden hoses.
Get to my day job. I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a car wash or something. Yeah.
Um, I forgot your name, sir.
Brad Hall.
Brad. Okay, Mr. Hall. I think it's the agreement of finance that we don't issue water refunds. But this clearly didn't go through the sewer because it wasn't an internal problem inside the building. And I think the committee would be agreeable to a refund on, or a refund or a credit.
Credit.
A credit. It's difficult to refund from these separate funds, as you were hearing about all of them. A credit on the sewer portion, which is just over half of it, of $421 and some change.
The only issue I have with that is we don't know that it didn't go through the sewer. It was clearly used, and we don't know how it was used. Somebody took it,
You said the
I don't
toilets were
understand
off, so
the
they were
question.
not running.
but we
The
don't
building
know
was-
if it went through the
There's
sewer or
a-
not.
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
a
I mean,
kitchen sink in
That's-
there. And
Is there
this
any
is what
floor
Jim-
drains?
Jim Back came to expect it,
Like floor drains? You have a floor drain or anything like that?
no.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, if I try to put myself in somebody's shoes, if I got an $800 water bill and I didn't do anything to cause it, and somebody from the borough came to inspect it and said, yeah, I don't think you did anything to cause it, I think it's fair to give some relief. And so I think splitting the difference seems reasonable.
If there was nobody using the building, there was no break-in, the toilet was off, so clearly not running, that had been shut down. There was nobody in there to turn the faucet on and leave it running for that many hours a day. I think we can reasonably assume with Jim Babb's inspection that it did not go through the sewer system,
Okay,
and that we could do a credit on your bill for the upcoming months for that sewer
it's about half.
cost.
Yeah.
A little over half the bill.
Should I work with Kim on paying the bill?
I mean, I can coordinate that.
Okay.
Yeah, let Michelle know, and she'll.
Acceptable.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I'm sorry to bother you with us.
No, it's-
We're here for you. We're here for
You
you.
guys are doing wonderful stuff, and you're.
That's why we do this.
So I appreciate
What?
your consideration of single representation.
Oh, yeah. So what I'm going to say is the finance committee is in agreement that we would like to provide a refund on the sewer portion. This will have to go to council next week.
Right.
Overall, council needs to make that final decision because it is financial. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve recommending council issue a credit on the sewer portion as discussed by the finance committee for the utility bill for 326 North Wyomissing Boulevard.
Second.
So, next Wednesday.
Next Tuesday's the meeting. The council will make that vote Tuesday evening. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for sitting through all of this.
Appreciate it. That was great, Leslie.
Online payment of tax bills. I've read through this. I know Jana's read through this. Michelle's read through this. I think this is a great idea. I don't know if all of you have read the information that's been provided.
I don't have anything, so I didn't know what to
Have we
reference.
talked to the tax collector yet about it?
I guess.
Both sides have to approve it, so see whether council.
She's aware.
Oh, you're gonna
She's
wait
aware,
for-
yes.
Oh, she is aware of it?
We talked the
Okay.
other day about it.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I don't even know if you go through the tax collector. Don't you go online or something?
But she still will have to.
Right, she'll get a payment from
Right,
the county.
exactly.
Okay.
And all the fees go to this company, right?
Right, we don't pay anything. They put on the 2.1% or whatever it is,
Right.
and they collect that fee.
Okay.
So it's just a way to streamline for the residents and
Yeah,
borough.
I mean,
good
I
idea.
wouldn't want to give them another way to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay,
Hey, more like.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor or any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Did everybody look over the right to know? Yes.
Does the solicitor have to prepare anything for the approval, or is it just enough that they approve?
There's a resolution required.
A resolution, okay.
We want that resolution on the agenda for,
Can we get that resolution?
Well, since I have something to file that came from another borough, we'll make sure that that happens.
Okay.
thank you.
We'll have that, and then we can put that in the packet. Okay. Perfect. Right to know, did anybody have any specific questions on what we were provided? Looking through this, these are the right to know requests we get from residents each month, just a general idea to get an overlook of what they're looking for, what additional information we can provide, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Can I make one point here? There
Yes.
was one request that we got in that that top one, I think it was, that was like a secondary email where an individual asked about invoices that the borough had on hand at the end of the month that weren't paid until the following month. And just to clear up any confusion about that, we don't keep invoices in a box or anything like that until the next month. We're on the cash basis. So whatever comes in for that month gets paid in that month. There's no way for me to go back in time and figure out, oh, on that specific day, what would have been paid on January 1st that had a date of March, 9th. The invoice is entered when the date of the invoice in our system is entered when we process the invoice, not the date based on when the vendor gives it to us.
But you pay on the due date or when it's received? 'Cause-
We pay when it's received.
So even if it's not due for 2 more months.
I have to look into that piece.
Talk to
You pay very,
We do,
pay
so
very
like
well.
the ARL,
Yeah.
ARL, which is the Animal Rescue League, they have quarterly invoices. I get all of them in December for the year in advance. And then like first quarter we pay in January, second quarter
Yeah.
we pay in April, so on and so forth.
Well, we don't like wait, oh, here's 9 invoices that came in on the 30th. Let's just do these tomorrow. That's
Instead of
not what
sitting on 'em.
occurs.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the request was alluding to.
Oh, so that you're holding them. so
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
Financials look better.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they want, as received, they're paying it very,
Yeah.
in fact, very timely.
After approval.
You can argue.
After approval,
two
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what I was asking.
You
Correct.
could argue
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you could argue that. But,
No rubber stamps.
yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? The last 2 items, I've tabled prior, and I'd like to continue because I'm not sure we're ready to move on to them at this
What,
point.
17 and 18,
17 and 18, yes, excuse me, 17 and 18.
okay.
So, at this current moment, I'd like to make a motion to table moving things around at this point for admin and personnel.
Second now.
We have a motion and a second to table. All those or any other discussion?
Chair personnel, have a-
Do you have any input on that?
I mean, I think the meetings are all kind of long. I think that when you guys are ready, I think it's something that could be taken on by personnel. So I don't know. I mean,
I'd have to know more, and not now, but what part of the administrative and finance would you move, I guess? And I don't need answers now, but that was a question I had, I don't.
Yeah, it would be stuff like, it'd be the administrative stuff, not the financial stuff.
Like what we just talked about,
All these,
social media.
yeah, social media, the retainer agreements, stuff like that.
the thought process is that a lot of that impacts the staff and the workload. So it kind of made sense to marry it up with personnel so that we can make the decisions and,
Okay.
do it all.
plus finance is
Just
often
trying-
very much longer than.
Well,
personnel.
yes, and then finance.
Just trying to move,
Yeah,
to try and make the meetings, okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the policy.
Or finance.
options.
right.
What we want.
Can we?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Well, I made a motion to table and a second.
I mean, there's more involved than just us doing this because.
Yeah, there's a lot more involved. We have to write, we've got to change ordinances. There's financials involved in that. I think we should all just get our feet wet for a few more months before we start doing that. That can also line up with some other things if we can sort of do some changes in unison.
I mean,
It would be beneficial.
Okay.
okay.
All those in favor of tabling, moving, admin? Aye. Aye. We have 3 ayes. So in favor of tabling? Opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Communication with residents, we're gonna pull this right now from the agenda. It's been brought to the attention that we need an ordinance to create this ad hoc, and I just think,
I mean, a temporary ad hoc committee, we need an ordinance for that? Does that not
Yes.
fall under the scope
Yes.
of
My opinion is,
organization?
to be consistent, the answer is yes.
Create an ordinance for every temporary
know what I had said.
We need the ordinance giving us the ability to create.
From time to time to create, yes, there's nothing
Okay.
that covers that.
Yeah, let's give that some time too.
And, you know, considering the guidelines that were passed at this meeting, that might not be as compelling, you know, if we see that this works, maybe we don't need an ad hoc, we'll see.
Okay, yeah.
But, you know, it would be helpful to have the ability in general to do an ad hoc at some
I
point.
think the intention is to figure out what capabilities we have and then to see what the residents are actually looking for. So I do think there's more to be done,
Yeah.
especially if we're going to be making decisions about moving meetings, you know, things like that. I think we need to have the information.
Yeah, what capabilities we have is something we can do without a committee. I mean, that's just discussions that can be taking place, and that's a starting point, and then figure out.
Yeah, we don't need
what
a
to do.
committee in place to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
What about that confidential Kugels contract?
Oh, but did we pass over that?
I thought it was.
The confidential Kugels.
That's in the executive session, the,
For them to put
discussion.
confidential.
okay. Then there's no public comment. We can adjourn and go into,
Katie, do you think there should be an executive session of council and not?
I have to leave anyway if you're talking about me, so
I have to leave shortly.
We only talk about you behind your back.
that's okay.
It depends on what anybody wants to do. I wouldn't have any problem discussing this in not an executive session. I think it's a completely standard thing that's happening in.
I didn't think so either.
It's not on the
Practical, so I
agenda.
gave us the option.
You have the option.
it's not on the
So
agenda.
It is in the terms of executive session. We can just
Can I-
talk about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I have to go, but I just wanted to ask, I guess, a more general question. Like, at what point are we going to talk about the deficit in the budget? And if there's any opportunity to bridge it, like explicitly talk about that?
Something I brought up in small terms in January and was sort of bypassed. I have a meeting to start looking into moving forward. Moving backwards, I think in some instances is going to be difficult. I've gotten sort of fight back on looking backwards and saying, all right, we should cut this here and cut this here from this year's. So I don't really know. I mean, the goal is to get the department's heads to spend as little as possible and not exceed the budgetary restraints that were put on them, but that doesn't always happen. And
Right,
I'm
but
not,
Personally, I don't think we know enough to make cuts. If we're going to do anything.
It's not only cuts.
Well, what makes sense to me is ask the department heads to come to us. If we say, if you had to cut 1% of your budget, it's got to be small because so much is in personnel. And so many commitments are already made. If you had to cut 1%, 2%, I don't care, but it should be small, what would you cut? And I think we should see whether we agree with those cuts.
I know Greg has some answers to that question. He just hasn't been asked.
Well, that's.
Right, and
yeah, my
The
goal,
longer we wait to ask,
the less opportunity.
there is.
Right.
It's
to
already
cut.
March and we start the
Yes.
budget in June.
right,
Well,
my
and-
goal moving forward was to meet with the department heads, get information on long-term sort of capital projects every day, like what do their budgets look like? How can we make those changes? And where can we find more revenue for next year and get an actual balanced budget next year? Which
Right,
is,
but if we don't start that conversation now and we have the
Right.
budget in June, we're not gonna, not only are we gonna miss the opportunity to influence anything this year, we're gonna miss the opportunity to influence next year. Because June is gonna be here before you know it.
We start,
Yeah.
we passed the budget.
we're
In
on
December.
this,
That's in December, November, December, but it starts in June. What I will say, if I can add something to this, when I talked about reserve policy and long-term capital plan, addressing the question of deficit, I think needs to be seen through that lens this way. So when you look at, these are the reserves we need, and this is our capital plan, and now here's our operational expenses, here's where our deficit number could or should be in the future years, and those are the bigger questions that need to be addressed in terms of rates, taxes, grant funding, et cetera. or debt financing, et cetera, all of that in that bucket. So if we're gonna look at a holistic picture, we need a big picture financial plan.
Right, and I guess one more thing, because then I really do
Yeah.
need to leave. How does vacancy rates impact the deficit, right? So if there are open positions, that's payroll that you're not
Sure,
spending.
sure.
Are you taking those vacancy factor and then deducting that from the anticipated?
We budgeted
Deficit.
intentionally for 26, like fire chief, we budgeted not to come on until June. There's not.
You
excess
budgeted a
for-
Yeah.
vacancy rate.
Yeah.
Same thing for the part-time administrative position, we budgeted not to bring that person on until May.
So before next meeting, so I guess maybe we'll try to set, like, in the next month, try to be set up to actually have these discussions at the next meeting.
Jen and I are meeting next week.
We're
to
meeting
start-
next week to have like a starting point discussion and figure out what's going on.
Okay.
And I can talk to you about that.
Yeah.
And figure out where we begin. And we have to begin with all the department heads.
Yeah.
And figure out what all these numbers are, what's our non-discretionary, what's our discretionary,
Yeah.
and where can we increase revenues, where can we make cuts, what's the long-term capital projects to figure out how much money we need
Okay.
annually to sustain ourselves and not continue on this trajectory.
We're not going to balance the budget just by making cuts.
Yeah, we're not gonna find $1 million this year.
Yeah, but we can block out.
Right.
But we can block out like 30 minutes of next.
Very
meeting
clear.
to
How to
talk
increase
about
revenue.
this.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
This year is done as far as the budget.
Yeah.
You can certainly tell people, hey, cut the expenses or watch your expenses, but the budget's pretty much.
Yeah.
My argument is without a capital plan, it's hard for us to know what we
What we're
need
doing.
versus don't need.
It's an extended process.
Yeah.
Cover from the.
And the 5-year plan is very, very important. We really have to get on that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still in session here.
Yeah.
Let's go through this. I mean, you can step the Kugel contract, which is under executive session, but we can openly speak of this. Do you want to give an overview?
I received a notice from Google's last week and a phone call indicating that they are under agreement to sell to Casella. Google's is who we are contracted with as part of the bid we put out and awarded last year for the processing and marketing of our recyclables. If this were a hauler, I think I would have bigger concerns about are the people interacting with our residents coming here daily going to change? We are literally talking about the place where our recycling materials are taken to be processed and then marketed. Heidi can speak to specifics as to other situations she's had with other clients where we've gone through this. Casella is a nationally traded company. We have asked for references. So far, we've not gotten those specifically back. They did provide a link to a website where they're called out as one of the top 10 companies in the United States. They are agreeing, they are agreeing to take the contract on with all of the things the contract was awarded under per our bid specs. I mean, the option is we say no to this, and by April 1st, which is impossible, we're putting out a new RFP to solicit bids for processing and marketing of our recycling materials. And in the meantime, I don't know where to tell the hauler to take them.
Right. We were happy with that Google contract, right?
Heidi, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, just anecdotally, on transactions of this nature, the owner of the company usually is kept around for some period of time. And I specifically asked that, and Matt Google, who some of you may know here, I know him personally, congratulations to his family for knocking the ball out of the park here. But he will be staying around. Jane Meeks, who some of you may know is the executive director of the Solid Waste Authority in Berks County. My partner, Mike Gumbar, is on the Solid Waste Authority, and she specifically mentioned to him that she thinks it's a great thing because this new company will invest in the facility located up there at the top of the road going into Hamburg, and it's going to be better than ever. The document that they provided to us, we have marked up and sent off to them. We told them because of the tight timeline, they're requesting action from council to approve this consent. So we asked for some changes, which are typical. My firm, and I specifically do transactions of this nature. The request for the consent for the assignment is a completely standard thing. I think the seller's attorney kind of gratuitously said they didn't think it was necessary. We respectfully disagree, and the buyer wouldn't be asking for it unless the buyer didn't want it. So I haven't heard back from them yet. We'll send off, just sitting here looking at what I marked up, came up with a couple other little tweaks. One thing, we are requesting that they reimburse the borough for our attorney's fees incurred in dealing with this. Are we going to keep it confidential? Well, we kind of have a problem that I don't understand.
Yeah, if it was ridiculous.
Because this was
Publicly- is it publicly
ridiculous.
traded?
No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. It's like,
You have to approve it in public for God's sake.
the transactions are confidential, and there's a non-disclosure agreement that's put in place at the beginning of the negotiation, but you reach the point where you gotta go out and you gotta talk to all the municipalities why they included that there. I don't know. We have to take that out.
If nobody's opposed to this, I would suggest I can add a motion under my report for approval at Tuesday night.
It does not affect rates at all.
No.
So,
So I guess.
Future years, maybe.
How I'm interpreting this is, the rates don't change now, it's a good company. The rates will probably go higher in the future because they will.
But we would
But at that
rebid.
point, we'll
You
rebid
can
the
do a new
contract.
RFP.
Yeah.
When the
They will-
contract ends.
Yeah, when this contract ends in 4 years.
But everyone's rate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah,
All right.
they're agreeing to this rate for, over the course of the next 3 years, the contract. So I don't see.
So we'll get a good rate with a good company for 3 years, that's good.
Last year, so.
All right, we'll put it on borough managers. Anybody have anything else? All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
If we had fewer committees, we'd have fewer meetings.
What?
We officially adjourned.
Well,